Okay, class, good day again. So we will now again continue the digestive system. Now we will talk about stomach. Okay, stomach is this one. Okay, see, if you look at the stomach, it is located at the left side of our abdomen. Okay, so stomach anatomy. So it is located at the left side of the abdominal cavity. So food enters at the cardioesophageal sphincter. So if you look at this illustration, so the cardioesophageal sphincter is located here. Actually, it is located near the heart, and that is why you will notice that there are some condition called GERD, no? So in which this cardioesophageal sphincter is incompetent to close when the food goes in, and they have difficulty of closing. The acid will go up and it will cause heartburn, no? So yung heartburn, okay, because it is located near the heart, the pain is felt just like heartache, no? That's why the person experiencing this one, he feels that he has a heart problem, okay? So that is your cardioesophageal sphincter. So this is the door of your bolus to go inside your stomach. No? So we have door, no? So when the bolus is here, it exerts pressure, and this pressure and this bolus stimulates the cardioesophageal sphincter to open, and the bolus will go inside. Okay? Then food empties into the small intestine by a pyloric sphincter. So the flow of the food is going here and here. So this is now the pyloric sphincter, no? So we have two opening of the stomach. So we have the cardioesophageal sphincter and pyloric sphincter. So this stomach has two valves or opening, no, that closes and open. Okay, to regulate the amount of food that will come out here and come in here. So the bolus, anything that goes here will go inside. It will be the cardioesophageal sphincter that will let it open and close, but it should always close to prevent acid to go back. Okay, so that is the purpose of this cardioesophageal sphincter now. So what are the regions of the stomach? We have one, two, three, four. Okay, to remember, there are four regions of the stomach. So always remember that there are four. Cardiac region, because it is located near the heart. So this is the cardiac region. Okay, near the heart. The fundus, okay, here is the fundus, that uppermost portion. Okay, so expanded portion of lateral to the cardiac region. So this is the cardiac region. Lateral, if this is the center, to the side of of the cardiac region is the fundus. Okay, lateral to the uh, cardiac region. Okay, that's the meaning of lateral, no? We go at the center is this one. So which is more lateral is the fundus. That's why fundus is lateral to the cardiac region. So body, so this is now the body of our stomach. Okay, the mid portion. And the pylorus here, pylorus region, is now your pyloric region, which is shaped like a funnel. Okay, and it is the terminal end. Terminal end means the last part, no? The last region. So we repeat, cardiac near the heart, fundus lateral to the cardiac region, body at the mid portion, and the pylorus is at the end part, which is shaped like a funnel. So those are the region of our stomach. Inside the stomach, we can see rugae, no? The folded internal folds. This is mentioned also in our urinary bladders. So urinary bladder also have rugae, but here in the stomach, you can see these folds, no? There are folds inside, and they are called rugae. Okay, these folds are now called rugae, no? Okay, so stomach can stretch and hold 4 liters Wow, imagine 1 gallon of food when full. Okay, this rugae disappears when the stomach is full because they stretch, no? So they will disappear when they are full, no? When the stomach is full. External regions. So we have external regions, outside regions, the lesser curvature and the greater curvature. Regions, ha? Regions. That's why we use the curvature, no? So lesser curvature, concave medial surface. Okay, concave medial surface and greater curvature, convex. So one is concave, one is convex, no? So convex lateral surface. Ayan. Okay, so concave and convex. Lesser curvature and greater curvature. External region. Okay, so those are the regions of our stomach. So we also have external regions. Next, layers of peritoneum attached to the stomach. Now we are talking about peritoneum. So if you talk about peritoneum, we use the word omentum, no? So if the question is layers of peritoneum, your answer is omentum. If they say what region, curvature. Okay, so greater omentum or lesser omentum attaches to the liver to the lesser curvature, no? And the greater omentum attaches to the greater curvature to the posterior body wall. It is attached to the posterior body wall already. They are embedded with fat, okay, that insulates, cushion, and protects the abdominal organ. So if you cut abdominal wall, no, you can see inside there are many fats. So these fats use as insulates or make it warm, cushion, okay, parang unan to protect from blow and protect abdominal organs. Okay? And they also contain lymph follicles. Okay? So if you say lymph again, it is where the macrophages lives. No? So macrophages are also our WBC. Example of macrophages are the monocytes. Okay? So next layer is the muscularis externa. Okay? This is different from the rest of the alimentary canal or GI tract because it has a third layer. Okay, this third layer is now called the oblique layer. Ayan. So we have longitudinal. Number one, we have longitudinal. Number two, we have the circular. Okay, this one. And number three, we have the oblique. So we have three uh, muscle layers in the stomach. This is very important for the rippling movement of the stomach so that the stomach can churn or mix the bolus that went inside. Okay, so that is the purpose of the oblique layer, performing churning, ito, churn, mix, and pummel the food inside. Okay, so usually they are located here, no, at the body. Okay, so stomach physiology, no? So what is the function of the stomach? Of course, it is temporary storage tank for food. So when we masticate food and turn into bolus, and when we do deglutition, the bolus will now go to the stomach and it is stored there. Okay? So site for food breakdown also. So digestion is also happening in the stomach. So the stomach has a digestive function. First, we have chemical breakdown or chemical digestion that happens in the stomach of protein. Okay, so protein digestion begins in the stomach. A while ago, carbohydrates digestion begins in the mouth because of the salivary amylase. Okay, so this one delivers chyme. So the product of the stomach, the product of the stomach, when the bolus is mixed with the gastric juices and also with the hydrochloric acid, this now becomes liquid and the name is now become chyme. So bolus is transformed into chyme. Tandaan nyo. So remember that one. In the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, the food is called bolus. So when it goes now to the stomach and goes to the pylorus and becomes liquid, the name is chyme, no? So processed food to the small intestine. Okay, so that is the main function of the stomach, to store the food, to break down protein and create chyme. Okay, mix it with gastric juices, mix it with hydrochloric acid until the food will become liquid and it will be delivered to the small intestine in the name of chyme or the processed food. Okay? So, structure of the stomach mucosa, no? So, if you look at the stomach mucosa, the mucosa is made up of simple columnar epithelium. Okay? This mucosa has mucous neck cell or mucous cell. In our book, no, there are two secretion of the mucous neck cell. One is a thin acidic mucus, but the book says it doesn't have any significance yet, no. But the best secretion that this produce is the sticky alkaline mucus. Okay, because if hydrochloric acid is released to the stomach, the gastric content will become very acidic. And you know that hydrochloric acid is a highly corrosive substance that can damage the lining of the stomach. Now, before this hydrochloric acid will be released, the stomach will protect itself by producing a sticky alkaline mucus by the mucous neck cell, no? So they will produce this one, and this sticky alkaline mucus will cling. They will cling now or stick to the lining of the stomach, protecting the lining of the stomach from the hydrochloric acid. Okay, so that one, no. First of all, no, how will this happen? Okay, I almost forgot the story, so we will begin with this enteroendocrine cell, and that produces gastrin, no? So in the stomach, if this is the stomach, okay, when the bolus is mixed with saliva, the saliva is base or basic. Base or basic, meaning it is alkaline in nature. Remember that the bolus is an alkaline in nature because they are mixed with saliva. Saliva are alkaline in nature. Okay. Remember that the environment of the stomach is acidic. Okay, because of the hydrochloric acid. And they live to be acidic. Dapat acidic ang stomach. Now, when the bolus gets in, it changes the environment of the stomach. So there is a change in environment. The gastric content now increases the pH. Okay, if the pH increases, that is the time that the stomach lining, okay, our mucous glands, the mucous glands are being stimulated to produce the hormone called gastrin. So this gastrin is a hormone. Okay? And you know what is the action of the hormone, no? It activates target cell to produce their secretion. Okay, so because of this rising pH, this is now the stimulus for the a gastric cell called enteroendocrine cell to produce its hormone. Okay, this hormone now will act on the rising pH to decrease the pH so that it could maintain the normal pH of the gastric content into acidic. Okay, so after that, okay, he will now stimulate the mucous neck cell to produce sticky mucus alkaline mucus, no? Sticky alkaline mucus, so that it will protect first its lining before producing the hydrochloric acid. Another one, it will now produce gastric or juices, and it will now stimulate chip cells to produce protein digestive enzyme pepsinogen. Okay. Now we say that digestion of protein begins in the stomach. The problem is these pepsinogen are inactive form. Okay, they could only be activated in acidic environment. Okay. So what will the gastrin do is to stimulate the parietal cells to produce hydrochloric acid to bind with the pepsinogen, and this pepsinogen will be converted into pepsin. The active, they are now the active form of active form of protein digestive enzyme. Okay, so that is the story about the pepsinogen, no? The protein digestive enzyme. They are not capable of digesting the protein, so it needs help, no? So the parietal cells will now produce pepsin to will now produce hydrochloric acid to acidify the environment, and this pepsinogen will bind to the hydrogen of the hydrochloric acid and will be turned into pepsin that would be capable of digesting protein. So here, in conclusion, protein is begins digestion of protein, or the start of the digestion of protein is in the stomach. Okay. So here there is illustration. No? So pepsinogen. Okay, so pepsinogen is being released by the chip cell, no? So these are the chip cell. So they are the one who will produce the pepsinogen, and then the parietal cells are the one producing the hydrochloric acid, no? So this pepsinogen now will bind to hydrogen, and it will be converted into pepsin, protein digesting enzyme. Okay. So, food breakdown in the stomach. Gastric juice is regulated by neural and hormonal factors. Okay, so presence of food or rising pH is one of the stimulus, no? So, the release of hormone called gastrin will happen. And this gastrin now causes gastric glands to produce protein, digestive enzyme, mucus, and hydrochloric acid, converting pepsinogen into pepsin. Okay. So, hydrochloric acid makes stomach contents very acidic. So, acidic pH activates pepsinogen to pepsin for protein digestion and provides hostile environment for microorganisms. So, there is again a protection here, no? There is a protective function of the hydrochloric acid. Okay, they can kill microorganism because these hydrochloric acid are very highly corrosive. But sometimes there are microorganism that can live with the hydrochloric acid, no? Hindi sila natutunaw. Okay. So, next is digestion and absorption, no? Meron tayong absorption here. Okay. So, protein digestion enzymes that are present in the stomach are pepsin. an active protein digestive enzyme. So they can now start digesting the protein. No? Another one is renin. Remember, renin works only during infancy or works only in infants. So there's no renin in adults. Okay? Renin works on the digesting milk protein in infants. Remember the spelling of renin, double N. They are double N because there is also a hormone called renin, no, in our kidney. And take note of the absorption. This is a while ago that I told you that there is also absorption in the stomach. Alcohol and aspirin are the only items absorbed in the stomach. Take note. That's why if you drink, you can absorb automatically the alcohol that you drink in the stomach. And alcohol can pass through the blood-brain barrier. And it will go immediately to your brain. Okay, and aspirin, this aspirin is anticoagulant, no? They can cause bleeding. That is why if you have peptic ulcer, do not drink aspirin because it will further cause further problems on your ulcer and may cause bleeding. Okay? So propulsion. Again, the meaning of propulsion is putting the food from one place to another place, no? So that is the meaning of propulsion in general. So how is propulsion in the stomach? Okay, food must first be well mixed. So it will be well mixed and there is rippling peristalsis. This is what is happening in the stomach. So the propulsion is like this, no? Occurs in the lower and another one is, remember this one, lower stomach. So rippling peristalsis occurs in the lower stomach. Okay? So what are the three processes involved here in rippling peristalsis? We have propulsion, grinding, and retropropulsion. If you say propulsion, forward, no? It's forward. Grinding, okay, mixing, okay. Retropropulsion is backward. So this is what is happening in the lower part of the stomach. Propulsion, grinding or mixing, retropropulsion, forward, mix, backward, forward, mix, backward. Okay, that is what is happening in the lower part of the stomach. Okay, they are now mixing or they are now trying to make the bolus into chyme. So the bolus now will now become chyme, no? Bolus becomes chyme. Okay, that is what will happen to the bolus, no? It will now become chyme. Okay? So this chyme now will be supplied to the small intestine, but it is regulated by the pylorus or the pyloric sphincter, no? So pylorus meters out chyme. How much? 3 ml at a time. So it is very, very small content, no? The stomach will make sure that the bolus will be processed and becomes chyme, which is very liquid, that will go to the small intestine so that the small intestine will be able to digest it again and absorb the amount or the nutrients that are needed by the body. Okay? So the stomach empties in 4 to 6 hours. Okay? The stomach empties in 4 to 6 hours. So take a look at this one, no? This process. So propulsion, peristaltic waves. Peristaltic waves move from the fundus to the pylorus. So there is a peristaltic wave, no? From the top to the bottom. Okay? So moving downward, that's propulsion, no? Grinding, the most vigorous peristalsis. Okay, so the most vigorous peristalsis and mixing action occur close to the pylorus. So here, close to the pylorus, there is a vigorous peristalsis or peristaltic movement happening here. Okay? And retropropulsion, after there is grinding, it will now bring it back again. The pyloric end of the stomach pumps a small amount of chyme into the duodenum while spontaneously forcing most of its contents backward to the stomach. So it will now meters out 3 ml at a time, and some are forced to go back. Okay, 3 ml, 3 ml. Okay? So propulsion, mix, and then stop, put some at the back, and then meters out 3 ml. Pluk, 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 3 ml. Okay?